that reminds me of the book that I'm reading, the Think and Grow Rich book, where they were just talking about how you can repel the negativity. So it just reminds me of what you were just talking about, where you stay on your vision, and then you say yes to one thing and no to the other thing, because you know the one thing isn't going to get you closer to your vision. And I was reading your LinkedIn, and you said, in truth, success lives within everyone. Can you explain what you meant by that?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple, Tracy. People all too often are looking external to themselves for the definition of success. Like, John, I want you to tell me, and then Tracy, you tell me what success is, and maybe I'll believe one of them and I'll go with it. Success is right here. You determine in your life what success is, and that's why I say it is an inside-out journey. The story on the inside becomes the journey on the outside. So I determine what is success for me, and then I go live it. And you might look at me and say, she'd be more successful over here. But that's your perspective. And I just say, so here we sit in Wauwatosa. What if we just took everyone in Wauwatosa, put them through core mining to get solid on who they are at the core, loving who they are, and then what is success for them? And then they go live it. Our world would be a whole lot different.
So our topic today is mindset, and that's part of why you're here today. So what does your morning routine look like that gets you off on the right foot every day?
Yeah, so for me, the biggest thing is the mornings is me time. I do have 3 young boys, and they're in various activities and sports. So I like to get up early. I like to do some physical activity. I practice jiu-jitsu and judo, so I'll get up and do that a couple times a week. If I'm not doing that, I will try and do some weightlifting or some cardiovascular stuff outside when it's warm out. But then also take some time to reflect and really start practicing gratefulness. So I have a gratitude practice where I just kind of sit in the silence and think about what I'm grateful for that day.
So we just spoke with Krista and talked about getting your own values in alignment. And she talked about grounding your own values, which I thought was a really interesting place to start. I always thought you need to be exactly like your ideal client. But tell us about the code, and I think that's going to shed some light on our values.
Yeah, and I loved what Krista had to say about the values and knowing who you are. And it's very important to know who you are. And it's also, so if you think of people's values like operating systems and that they all speak different languages, you want to have enough respect for the other person to understand where they're coming from and understand what information they need to process. So that's what the codes do, is gives you the ability to understand who that person is and then be able to communicate and give them the information they need. Like if you were going to a foreign country, would you expect all of them to change how they speak because you weren't willing to learn the language of the place you were going?
Yes.
So you have an acronym, SLAY, and can you walk us through that?
Sounds kind of powerful.
It does.
Slay.
And
Yes, I would love to walk you through that. From my experience, and one of the reasons why I really got passionate about wanting to coach business speakers is that when we get this opportunity in front of the room, we've got to respect that space. We're taking up time. And what I typically see is, yes, you're an expert in your field, so you get up there and you say it. And you just kind of, wing it and ad-lib it. And I like to say, don't do that. Don't just say it. You want to slay it. So what does that stand for?
Right.
First of all, the acid slay is for stop. We are in a crazy busy world, and if you want to get people off their cell phones, maybe looking at their TikTok reels, you've got to hook them in. And imagine it just like a fish. You get that little nibble on your line, and that fish is now on there, and then you've got to make sure it doesn't let go. That's what the stop is. You've got to get your audience to stop and pay attention. And a really good hook opening is one of the ways to do that. So now you have their attention. The L is get them to listen. And how you get them to listen is you share a problem that's related to them. So you have to make that connection right away with the audience before they really care anything about you or what you may offer. Okay, and then the A is now they can ask, how does this relate to my business? How can I apply this to my business? So the application part is really important. And all of these are similar in a TED Talk too. And then the last one is to get them to say, yes, I want to know more, or I'm going to talk to John right after this meeting because what he talked about was right on point and I need him. So that's the difference between just winging it and creating a strategic plan around slaying it.
So if you use NLP to reprogram somebody, do you change the habit and then the habit is changed, or do you have to repeat the process or get like a booster hypnosis every now and again?
Well, a lot of it, what it is, we just go dig in and we look and see where anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt has been trapped in your programming. There's a saying, give me the child before the age of 7, I'll give you the man. So 90% of our unconscious mind is programmed by the age of 7. The lenses through which we experience life, our parents, grandparents, teachers, coaches, all that stuff by the age of 7 built the foundation of our value system. So then we go off on life and we keep tweaking it. So whatever temper tantrum you had by the age of 7, you still repeat that today. 95% of what you do today is on repeat from when you were 7. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So what we do is we go in and, like, say for example, I have a client, he's got a great business. He's got a magic number of 5 million and his sales director's got a magic number of say 45. That, and he's like, and he's fighting with his team. So I need to understand, get into him. It's like, where's your anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt on your timeline embedded? Why did you attract someone whose number is so much bigger than yours? And how do you not even know what his number means to him? So if you're making decisions in your business based on his numbers, what are yours? And so we've just got this misalignment. So allowing them to release any of that baggage that's in there, let them create a SMART goal around, the big aim goal, what's the big picture and what's the little micro goals we have to hit to get there. And that's kind of where the hypnosis comes into play. We're creating that vision. They tell me what they want. And then that's when they repeat that over and over.
So your dance, how do you combine your dance and your content creation?
Well, I don't know that I would say I would combine them. Obviously, you mentioned my book. It's called Content That Dances. And I think one of these days you should give my book away. I didn't even think about that.
There we
That
go.
would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm in for that. So dance for me is really a hobby and something I love. It's my favorite form of sort of creative self-expression. But the reason I bring it into my content and tell some of those stories, or give the book the title that I did, is because that's part of who I am. It's part of my personal brand, if you will. And everybody has to figure out what that is for them. So obviously not everyone's going to talk about dance, but what is it for you that you're bringing in that's something personal to you that makes you different in your work, in your communications, in your messaging, in your branding, that makes you unique to you?
That's awesome.
And for me, it's dance, or that's a piece of it.